Welcome to the Brook Hill podcast, where we talk about life, legacy, and leadership. Today, I am joined by three very special people on our all-summer staff, and we're recording this in the middle of camp. But I have. Why don't y'all just all tell your names instead of me introducing you?
Hi, I'm Emily Braunfish. I'm the Bay Senior Counselor.
Hi, I'm Kendal Minton. I'm the Partron Senior Counselor.
And I'm Riley McCook. I'm the Walker Senior Counselor.
That is. Oh, there we go. That is our squad here today. Yeah. And so I got three senior counselors, and all of you first year in the bunkhouse, not all first year on the on all summer staff, but what we want to talk about today is we're just hanging out is we're filming this in the middle of Camp 3. Yeah, and so this will probably drop next week during Camp 4, and we want to talk maybe to our campers who have just left camp, right? Camp 1, Camp 2, Camp 3, and then obviously the ones who are going to be coming back. Y'all tell me a little bit about your camp experience. Like obviously, like how many years did all of you go to camp as campers?
I went 5 years.
I only went 3 years.
I went all 7.
Let's go.
Yes.
Fish is always one-upping everybody. What's up with that? That's just how she rolls. Okay, so, all right, so y'all, you all came back, bottom line.
Yes.
You went one time and you came back.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why'd you come back to camp? What'd you love? What did camp do for you?
I just loved the people, and I feel like it was always the connection, and then that, and like getting to connect with Jesus too at camp, and like that just being so prevalent was why I always came back.
Yeah, that was the same for me. It was just the people that were just willing to love on you unconditionally and that were there for you, and they could pour into you with like whatever you were going through.
Yeah. I just thought it was like super fun. I mean, Brook Hill is like the funnest place ever.
That's
honestly,
absolutely.
Honestly, it's the funnest place ever.
And y'all felt connected with.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you all. So bottom line is you always left positive, right?
Yes,
absolutely.
You always, and I want to change.
Yeah.
Right? Is that the feeling? I mean, that's kind of what I feel when I'm talking to campers. Kind of talk me through that. Y'all kind of, expound on that a little bit. Like what is that feeling as you're leaving? Because I know, Jason in closing ceremonies, he talks about parents, they made their bed the whole time while they're here, and you hear the kids going, shh. to Jason,
Yes.
But the bottom line is you left wanting to be respectful. In fact, I was talking to Jessie Metz. We record a podcast. Hers is going to come out pretty soon after y'all's. Yeah. But her parents talked about stopping the van on the way home and being like, "All right, did y'all talk to your counselors like this? Did y'all treat your bunk?" And they were like, "No, ma'am." Then you're not going to do it in this car either.
That's awesome.
Clearly you can change, right?
Yeah.
So talk about that wanting to change. I feel like our heart posture, right, is maybe softer, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Talk about that.
This is just like, I feel like Brook Hill's a place where you can just be more vulnerable than any other place. Like nobody's going to judge you while you're here. Everybody's going to love you no matter what. And I feel like while you're in like the real world, you always have like that feeling that somebody's going to judge you.
Yeah.
So you're guarded maybe?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like you're guarded while you're outside of here. But leaving here, you want to take off that guard. And just sometimes it's a little difficult.
Yeah.
Were you more of a tough kid, Riley? Were you one that was kind of too cool for school, but then you came to camp and you kind of broke down to your true self a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
And were able to, Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I'm definitely like a weirder guy than people think I am.
Okay.
Especially outside of here.
Are you sure you're weirder than we think you are?
I don't know.
Maybe we know you're weird.
Yeah, I feel like y'all would know, but as a kid, like in school, I was definitely like trying to be like that cool guy.
Okay.
Especially when I was younger.
So put on that face, but at camp, you were able to be a little more real and leave here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. What about you?
I feel like I was always really quiet at school growing up, and then I feel like I came to camp and like counselors really would make an effort to connect with you and kind of break you out of that shell, which just shows how much they love you, which is really awesome. And that really brought me back every year.
Okay. Yeah. That's really good.
I still was like the bunkhouse, like the cabin hype. That was me. I was leading chants. I was doing all of that. But then I would go back to school, and then it was like, oh, I'm on the volleyball team. Oh my gosh, I can't do that. And then I was like, oh my gosh, all these popular people. I can't be crazy anymore. I've got to reel it in. And so camp was always like, I could just be myself and be hype and just be happy all the time.
Okay, let's dive into that for 2 seconds. Let's dive into that for 2 seconds. So why do you think that happens? Like, like you're this fun, wild, and crazy person, and as a team captain on your volleyball team, I think that would be like the hype girl to have you, you know. But why do you think we get intimidated like that? Because this is kind of what we're talking about here, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We're talking about you leave camp and you've got this boldness feeling.
Yeah.
You're confident. You're feeling like you can be your true self,
Right.
right? Who
Yeah.
God's created you to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, I don't know, month, 2 months, maybe a
somewhere
week.
around there.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
a week. Maybe somebody came to camp 3 and this thing comes out a week later and they're already feeling intimidated.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Right.
why? So why don't you start since
Yeah.
you were
So-
brought that up?
I always went like week 4, so then I had like the rest of the summer. I had my super close friends. I was still that like super hype camp girl, super smiley. I'd go back to school and then I was like, oh my gosh, all these people around me. Like I was not the most popular person.
Yeah.
And so I always like felt the weight of that because I was like, oh, I can't stand out like that because I don't want to get made fun of. Because my first year of camp was after 7th grade and I did not have a good experience on my volleyball team. Girls were super mean. And so then camp was awesome because then I could be myself. Then 8th grade didn't make the team and I was like, what do I do? And so luckily I did join the cross country team and that's where I could be like, I was like that person that was like motivating people and trying to be super positive, but it was still like, I'm in 8th grade. I'm still trying to figure out who I am. And so that was that for me, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's definitely like the drama at school that like keeps people from being
Yes.
themselves. Like just people talking about you. You're scared that people are
Yeah.
gonna talk about you.
Yep.
Yes.
And like no kid wants to be talked about in a bad
Nope.
way. So they just
That's
try to
right.
like put this guard up, put up this like mask to where nobody can like see who they are so they don't get talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm definitely a victim of that.
Yep.
Like trying to
Yes.
hide my true self so that I don't get made fun of or talked about or anything
Yes,
like
for
that.
sure.
And you know, you said you were the quiet one in school. Is that
Yes.
what made you quiet?
I think so. I think I was just always worried about what other people thought of me.
Yep.
And so it kind of pushed me to be really quiet always. But then at camp, I never felt like people were going to be mean to me or make fun of me. I felt like I could just like be myself fully.
Oh yeah.
Also,
See,
for
I love talking about this because y'all are sharing your personal experiences,
Right.
Yeah.
and you're senior counselor of a bunkhouse,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? And I think sometimes, and that's why we wanted to do this podcast, just to be real, right?
Yeah.
Because you know, our campers look at you guys and they're just like, "Oh, Riley has no problems. Emily's perfect. You know, Kendall just must had a easy. You know, it just you don't see the real intimidation."
Yeah.
that you guys went through. What schools did y'all all go to? You don't have to name the school, but like private school for you.
Really small private school.
Public.
Public.
All right, so we got 2 public school and a private school
Yeah.
kid here. Obviously, none of you are homeschoolers, or
No,
because
right.
you probably wouldn't have been intimidated by your siblings.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so I went to all 3. I did
Okay.
homeschool, public school, private school, but I felt
Yeah.
the same way. You know, I felt the same way. I'd leave camp and then feeling and really, did y'all feel? I always felt free.
Yes.
Absolutely.
agree.
Yes.
Totally.
A weight was lifted off
Yep.
me when
Yes.
I
For
was at camp.
sure. Yeah, it's like that Brook Hill high that people talk about.
Yep.
Yeah.
For
Like
Like
sure.
you leave camp and
yes.
you're just like you feel like you're the happiest person in the world.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would call it a Brook Hill high, but what I didn't realize was I had found freedom in Jesus,
That's
Yeah.
right.
100%.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and then for some reason you kind of walk back slowly into just taking some of these things on,
Yeah.
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 and so, you know, I just why do you think how does it happen? How do you slowly kind of go back? And I know we all can't live in Brook Hill. That's not the real world. I
Right,
get
yeah.
that. But it's more of a time out
Mm-hmm.
to be able to work on your relationship with the Lord, right?
Right.
To
Yeah.
to be able to connect with people that can mentor you, right?
Yeah.
And so how does it, you know, kind of share some of those experiences that y'all had and then maybe what you did about it? Like to try, because hopefully each year, did you feel like y'all got better each year, like stronger each year?
Yeah.
For
Oh,
sure.
For sure.
definitely. Yeah. But I feel like going back to like our friend groups, or at least me personally, going back to like my friend group, my friends weren't going to camp. Like nobody from Magnolia came to Brook Hill. I mean, there's a few this week, but there's not like huge groups like they're at Conway or North
Yeah.
Little Rock or like places like that. And so you go back to your friend groups and like they don't know where you've been. They don't know like what you've been going through
Yeah.
and that you've been
Yeah.
trying to like build your relationship with the Lord. And so you're just there with them and they're like, why is he acting so weird? Why is he like that? And then like you definitely feel that. Like I definitely felt them
Yeah.
being like, oh, what? Like why is he like that?
Yeah.
And so you would
Yes.
I would change myself to be more like them again.
Yeah.
I agree, because I had a similar experience where nobody else from my school came to Brook Hill, so I remember I would come back, and then I feel like I would have I learned so much at camp, always changed so much, and then you go right back to exactly how everything was right before,
Yeah.
just because everybody else didn't go through the same changes or learning the same things that you just learned at camp.
And mine's kind of the same. It's just you go back to school and nobody gets Brook Hill. You
Right.
just
Yeah.
literally have to come
So
to
true.
experience it and understand. And then going to a bigger 4A, now 5A school, I think one of my other friends, she was the one who brought me here, and she is not the same person now that she was then.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely just falling back into old habits, and then just
Yeah.
wanting to fit in and being oh, none of these people get it. So I'm just going to put that Brook Hill side of me back in my little box and wait until
Yes.
next summer.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously we're saying the Brook Hill side, but obviously it's the growth in the Lord.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
for
that,
sure.
that you were and as a kid you can't define it as that. You
Yeah.
know, as a
Yeah.
kid you're just it's my Brook Hill-ness
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yes.
It's what?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking about 7th, 8th grade, right?
Yes.
Volleyball, you're intimidated.
Oh, yes.
Do you see a moment, because you're trying to figure out who you are
Exactly.
at that
Right.
age, right?
Right.
Who am I? Where am I going? What's my identity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What am I going to find it in? Am I going to find it in my friend group? And, you know, our theme this year is from Colossians 2:6, right? Where we
Yeah.
talk about being rooted in Christ,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
What are we building our life on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you know, the bottom line is at that age, it's your community.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
That's
what
right.
creates your cause. We've talked about that, right? And you know, I'm rooted in my friend group, or I'm
Yep.
rooted on my
Yeah.
team, and so I got to fit in the right
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
so it changes me. Did y'all ever feel for you, you know, because y'all are in college, and I'm not saying life is perfect and easy for you guys,
Yeah.
Yeah.
by any means,
wish.
you
Right.
know, right? And I think, in fact, as you get older, life just kind of multiplies. It
Yeah.
kinda piles
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you ever feel a time where you felt that you grew in confidence, or were you all right, this is who I am. I don't care what the environment around
Yeah.
me is. This
Yeah.
is who I'm going to be. And I'm not saying you're perfect in that.
Yeah.
Did you feel like it got a little...
Yes, for sure. Because, like I said, I was on the volleyball team. That was super toxic. And then I found cross country and track. And then that was that was me. That was who I was. And I loved being on the team. I was the motivator. I was the optimist. I was always guys, this workout isn't that hard. It's fun. And so,
You're the
that
one
was-
nobody liked.
yeah, everyone was it's 100 degrees outside. Why are you so positive right now?
Right.
But
Yeah.
that definitely helped, because then I was oh, this is my thing. And then I kind of brought Jesus and all of that into it. And I was a leader on my team. And that definitely also really helped me grow.
How old were you at that time?
This was 8th and basically the rest of high school.
Okay.
For sure.
So as you get into your 9th and 10th grade year...
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then I found more friends on the team who were super good influences. I had older girls who were super good role models. And that was just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. Y'all remember for y'all?
I remember it was the summers, I guess right at the beginning of high school. I remember specifically after graduating camp, I remember just being I'm ready to pursue the Lord and
Yeah.
have him first in my life. And I kind of had to take a step back from a lot of of my friends that I'd had forever. And that was just something I had to do because I knew I had to focus on that on my own. And then I just remember people always being oh, Emily, she's the Jesus girl. She would never do that. She's a Jesus girl. I got a lot of that in school, which is fine because that was true, but also kind of
Yeah.
hard
Mhm.
because you don't want to be singled out for anything
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
in high school, which is
Let me ask you this, 'cause I'm glad you said that. I think that was really good. Do you feel at first it kind of feels a little bit attacking, but after a while, do you feel it's respect?
absolutely, that's how I
Yeah.
felt.
I really think if you can get through the initial sting,
Mhm.
right, of that change, I have found that people respect me. I think people respect people who stand for things.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I think if you're in the crowd, you get lost in the crowd.
Yep.
But when you
Yes.
start to stand up in cross country and be a leader,
Yep.
when you start to be look, this is who I am. And you
Yeah.
know, each year at camp, you tried it on, you went back, okay, you didn't stay in it. But I think when you actually decide, I'm going to follow Christ,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not because of anything around me, not even because of Brook Hill, right?
Yeah.
Right. And Brook Hill definitely does not want to ever replace Christ, but I think
Yeah. That's
right.
sometimes kids need a little help for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
until they can own their relationship with the Lord. And it's the same with their parents. It's the same with your youth group. It's the same with a coach or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So did you find, I want you to kind of dive into that, then y'all can maybe add in to share to that.
Right.
Did you find that people started actually to respect you for your stand?
Yes, I did. I just remember, like, I tried to, like, after I graduated camp, I tried to read the Bible, like, cover to cover.
Okay.
That was, like, my goal for that year. And, like, as I was doing that, my friends would kind of make fun of me. They were like, why would anybody read the Bible? Like, things like that, which is, I don't know. And I was kind of like, then I wouldn't really talk about it as much. And then I was like, but I should be talking about this. I should be trying to bring this up.
Yeah.
And then the more I started to do that, I feel like that just was how everyone saw me. And it wasn't like they saw me weird for that. They didn't make fun of me for that anymore. That just was who I was, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah. Weird is you're not a weird person.
Yeah.
So no one's going to see, you know what I mean? But it's so funny. Well, everybody's going to think I'm weird. Well, they're going to think you're weird if you're weird.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
I'm sorry, but that's just a personality, right?
Yes.
You know, and then that obviously is opinion of people. You know, that's just what people do. But I love that to see you growing in your faith of no. And what's interesting is you went to a religious school.
I did, yes.
You went to a religious school, and people were like, "Why were you reading your Bible?" Isn't that funny?
Yes.
I mean, that's just interesting. Did y'all have similar things where you were like, "All right, here's who I'm going to be"?
Well, that didn't really happen for me until like my second summer being a JC. Like it took me a
Okay.
while.
I
Like,
love that.
As
No,
a camper, I
that's
really
right.
wasn't like trying to really develop my relationship with the Lord. I was just like, I'd come to Brook Hill and then I would have fun and I'd go back home and then do what I did before.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I really made that switch. I feel like my second summer being a JC, I was like, all right, this is what I need to start doing. I need to start like developing myself and start growing closer and doing things to like grow and like doing devotionals every day and listening to worship music and not just like like whatever music is playing on the radio.
Yeah.
There's a tear in my beer or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Whatever's playing on the radio at the time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I could hear Riley. That'd be some song that he, in my truck with my dog in the back, right?
I'm not actually a big country music fan, actually.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
no,
crazy.
That's surprising.
Is that sacrilegious for Magnolia?
definitely not.
Oh,
Magnolia's
really?
I feel like Magnolia's not that big of like a really country town.
Oh, it's not?
I mean, there's
Okay.
definitely some like very, very country people, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like that's like the demographic of what we have in Magnolia.
Did you drive a truck?
No, I drive a Jeep Cherokee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Jeep
drive-
Cherokee.
Good gas mileage.
You need to move to like Washington State or something. All right.
I love the gas mileage. It's great.
I love it. Sorry, I just thought about that. What Riley must be like. I just stereotyped you, Riley. Did you feel good about that?
No, it wasn't too bad.
All right, Kendall.
Yeah.
When was your moment?
Mine was kind of the same as Riley's. It was like as a camper, I came to camp and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then I came back home and was just kind of like, all right, I'm back home, like back to my old ways. And then it really was when I started to JC and be like, wow. Because then I really I was watching the senior counselors like, these people are like this all year round. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I want to be like them
Yes.
because they are just like overflowing with joy. And
Yeah.
so then also as I had like little campers every week that like, I remember one year I had these like 4 second graders that like clung to me and I was like, I want to be a good influence for them. And so
Oh,
then
yeah.
that's really when I was like, okay, I need to start doing this kind of like all year round.
Yeah.
Like this is who I want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember finding the verse. It was 1 Corinthians 16:13. It says, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong. Let everything that
good.
you do be done with love. And
good.
like that's just an amazing verse in my opinion because it talks about like how you should live your life.
Yes.
Especially as a counselor, like we need to let everything that we do be done with love.
Yep.
That's right.
And like that's something that we like promote as Red T-shirts.
Yep.
Yes.
Like loving everybody and just trying to pour into everybody.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's so good. You know, I want to kind of dive into this concept of making it all year long or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I know you hear people saying stuff like that at camp, and I know what they mean.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes our campers think that means I'm perfect all the
That's
time.
so not
That's
true.
not true.
And you know, and I think the Bible's very clear, just talking about walking with the Lord or walking against the Lord, like
Yeah.
walking away
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the Lord.
Right.
And I think, you have trouble. You and your parents kind of get into it, or you mess up here or there. I think God is looking for people who aren't perfect, but people that will be real and have a
Yeah.
relationship with
Yeah.
Him.
That's good.
Right? I mean, I think it's what we see scripturally.
Yeah.
And so kind of talk to you have that guilt or whatever of, oh, I'm not perfect, or
Right.
kind of talk to some campers who they might be dealing with that. Did y'all ever deal with that?
Oh yes,
Oh,
I
certainly.
am like a huge perfectionist. I'm very type A. If I'm gonna do something, I'm most likely gonna do it my way because I feel like my way's better, which is kind of bad, but it's okay. But definitely, I like when I would come back to camp and be like, oh, I'm not in that third group. I would just kind of get down, but then again, I would have to remember like these red T-shirts. Like yes, they're perfect to me, but all year round they still do go through stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, we obviously have seasons, but mine was just remembering that like they aren't like God or anything.
Yes.
Because they have that red T-shirt on. But yeah, mine was like, my relationship with God is not perfect, but that's okay because I'm still like trying every single day.
Yeah.
It took me realizing that like sin is in our human nature. Like
Yep.
Absolutely.
it's gonna happen, but we just have to like call ourselves out on it and
Good.
Yes.
and pray about it whenever we do end up falling into sin. And like there's no avoiding all of it completely. Like it's gonna happen.
Exactly.
Jesus was the only one that did it. Like
Right.
he was the only
Yeah.
one that could
Yeah.
actually avoid it. None of us can do that. So it just took me like accepting the fact that that's how it was gonna be.
Yep.
Yes.
And realizing like, oh, they're not perfect. They sin too.
Yep.
But at
Yeah.
least they call themselves out on it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yes.
I'm not just going to live in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to repent.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
Bible talks about that. It's
Right.
good.
Yeah. Same with Kendall. I'm such a perfectionist, and I like, especially in the way that like, I always would want people to see me as like perfect and like doing
Yep.
everything correctly. But then I kind of tried to realize that like nobody's perfect. Like only Jesus was perfect.
Right.
And then I don't know, like I am going to sin, but I can also like repent and realize that like what I'm doing is wrong. And it took just realizing that
Yeah.
to fully understand.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. What are some things that you guys did to grow, right? Because I think what happens is you run out of gas,
Yep.
Yeah.
right? You're at camp, you're having a great time, you're growing in the Lord, you got all this, and then over 3, 4, 5 weeks, you run out of gas
Yeah.
because you're living on, a camp high that people you
Yeah.
hear people
Yeah.
talk about. It's been talked about like 40 years, but at different camps, right? But you're living on that past moment instead of having a relationship with Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Where you refuel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where what are things that you do to grow your relationship with the Lord, right? As you're talking with Him, like what was it for you guys that caused that?
For me in high school, it was like starting to go to church. My family didn't go to church like every single Sunday.
Yeah.
And so like I really was like, it was camp every year was when I was getting like filled up. So like when I started going to church every single Sunday, that also then helped me realize like how important it is to like constantly be in the Word, and like just how important it is to like be reaching out and like relying on Jesus at all times.
Right.
So that was a big thing for me.
When how old were you when you started going to church, maybe on your own, so to speak? Because we all have to go to church on our own.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if you're 18, 19 when that happens. Maybe it's, while you're still at home, maybe not, not to act like, that was something unique to you.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
has to. It's just
Yes.
sometimes some people, their parents make them go every Sunday. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's your own choice. But
Right.
honestly, until you're making yourself, I don't know if it's really, stuck yet or not, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
how old were you?
When I was 16, it was actually
Okay.
after listening to an episode of the podcast with Maddie
Hey,
Kay, Levia,
let's go.
and I think Neely. Yeah.
Okay.
Plugs,
Yes.
like the
I remember
podcast.
that podcast, actually.
Yes.
Everybody should listen to that podcast. That was
It
really
was so
cool because
good.
they were roommates talking about it's kind of like this. They were just talking about real life, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
In things they go through. So you were 16.
Yeah.
So I guess you were driving yourself at that time.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember Levia saying something about it in the podcast about how she did that. And so I texted one of my friends, and we started driving to church together every Sunday.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you start going to fellowship at that time?
Yes, with Emily O'Quinn, who's also on All Summer.
Okay. Oh, my gosh. What a squad. All right. What are some things for you guys that you felt like you implemented and it took you off?
It was really just diving into my word for me, like doing devotionals every single night and really like refueling myself. It was that
Yeah.
assurance of when I read the Bible is like I'm starting to understand more. I'm starting to actually get closer to Him.
Yeah.
I'm actually doing something productive. I'm not just
Yeah.
scrolling on my phone.
Yeah.
That's
or
good.
playing video games or something, I'm trying to better myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just really what did it for me was reading my Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Now I didn't read it cover to cover like Emily did, but I would read it and it would help me a lot
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many good things in the Bible
Yeah.
that help you with your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Physical Bible or app? What is y'all's favorite?
Kind of both.
I do a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Both. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I say physical Bible. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I find the devotionals in my phone.
Me
and
too.
then I'll go and highlight them in my Bible
Yes,
as I
that's
read
exactly
Yes.
what I do.
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I like the app. I like it. I like
the app's
the.
amazing.
I
Yeah,
like to
that's
do, and when I'm
amazing.
saying the app, it's like the Bible
Yeah,
app,
the Holy
right?
Bible
Like the
app.
Holy Bible app, right? Like the
Right.
one that the one that everybody has. The
Yeah.
Craig Rochelle, I think it was their church that did that. But I don't know. I like the different what do you call it?
The versions.
Yeah, the different versions,
Yes.
but the different people that read it, like they have different accents.
Oh.
They
I like the
do?
different
I
accents.
didn't
I
know
did
Yeah.
that.
not know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know
you
could
get
get
a,
it right
like,
to you.
You know, I'm trying to think of like an Australian, good day, John 3:16. So I don't know. It helps to not make it mundane for me.
Yeah. It's
instead
not
of
the same
David.
thing over and over again.
Yeah, instead of
Yeah.
David Pates, but we need a Riley McCook one.
What?
That
We
would be
need-
so funny.
John
be awesome.
3:16. Magnolia,
And then
Magnolia version.
Yeah,
You
the
gotta throw some of
international
those in
accent.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
MIV, Magnolia International version.
It'd have some
Yes.
slang in there for sure.
Just
Have a lot of y'alls.
a lot of y'all.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's all.
Some finnas. Something like that.
That's it.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I love that. So what'd you read? Like Riley, you said you were diving into your Bible. What specifically?
Well, I
What helped bring it to life for you at a young age?
I would like look up whatever I was going through, like in my head or
Okay.
just physically, and you can look up anything on the Bible app,
Yeah.
and it would give you different plans for
Yep.
like a week or a
Yeah.
month, and that was
Smart.
just
Yes.
game changing for me,
Yep.
life changing for me, because it gave me something that actually applied to me. Wasn't just having to like search through the Bible to find something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would show me like what I needed and show me the verses that like, I actually needed, and that just helped so much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just
Yeah.
having like the resources. I feel like.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
and I love it's your relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
It's not Emily's.
Right.
Mhm.
It's yours.
Yeah.
And then her relationship with the Lord is hers, not yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I love that because for you said you're a perfectionist. You said you're more like
Yeah.
that. I got to read cover to cover. And Riley's like, okay, what do I need?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And for me, I'm the achiever. I like to achieve things. So for
Yes.
me, I like only on the app so that it can show me what I've done. Right?
Right.
It's
I
just
like that
funny
too.
how we're all
That's
so
nice.
different.
Yeah.
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 In that. So that's cool. What
Yeah.
about for you?
Mine was very much like I got plugged into like a youth group at
Yeah.
church, and these were all girls that like either went to my school or went to a surrounding school. And then I had these older women who also lived in the city. And then one of them, I had her like throughout, I think it was like 8th grade to senior year. And she's been awesome, and I still like keep in touch with her and everything. But it was just having that like accountability. And even though I wasn't like the closest friends with some of these people,
Mhm.
I still knew they were people that I could go to if I needed something
Right.
or like
good.
encouragement or anything like that.
It's so good. Anything
Mhm.
specific that you would read, like when you were reading the Word?
Mine was just like Riley, I would kind of look up whatever I needed. And sometimes it was just like a verse. I was like, oh, I really need a verse about like this right now, about like anxiety or like stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
looking up what I needed in the moment.
Yeah, and a lot of times it'll give you like a whole passage about somebody
True.
talking about it, and like I've always found that super helpful. So it's
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
I'm not just reading verses, I'm reading
Mhm.
somebody like actually
Mhm.
talking about it and like what you
Yeah.
need to do
Yeah.
and how you need to like go about changing that,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
I think one of the reasons that we struggle to grow or we kind of trail off after a camp when we're young is I think excuses. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
we
Oh,
make
yeah.
excuses. What are some excuses
Yeah.
maybe that you told yourself, or because you hear that you talked about plugging into youth group, and I hear
Mhm.
people say,
Mhm.
yeah, but my youth group's da-da-da-da-da-da,"
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, oh, but I'd read the Bible, but it's I don't know what to read. What
Yeah.
are some of the
Yeah.
excuses that you've I don't know, made for yourself or heard or
I feel like I always made the excuse of like I'm too busy.
okay?
I got too
Yes,
much
that
going
right there.
on. Like
Me
I don't have the
too.
time for it. But really, I would always have like 2 hours where I'm just scrolling on my phone.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I would consider that in my head that was me doing something. But like
Yeah.
you're really not. You're just wasting your day away.
That's
You're
right.
scrolling on your phone.
Yeah.
I
Mine
feel
was,
like that's the same for a lot of people though.
no, mine was
Yes.
definitely that with like
Mhm.
studying and then like practice. And then, oh, I'm
Yeah.
so tired after practice. And I just want to eat dinner and like shower and do my homework and go to bed. and
Yeah.
Yes.
It was just finding the time for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Mine was also the same. I just always would tell myself, oh, I'm too busy. I'm too tired. I have to wake up early for school in the morning. I don't have any time to read my Bible. Yeah, just like y'all said.
And you'd be like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. And then it's
Yes.
the same
Yep.
thing.
Same thing
excuse.
every day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. These phones. I actually want to do a whole podcast with some counselors on phones. I feel
That'd
like
be a
we're
good
really
one.
starting
Yeah.
to get into the generation that's literally been raised with and on
Yes.
phones.
Oh,
Yes.
for sure.
I'm actually. This is Dave's total. I don't know. My observation. My total science experiment here. Right.
Yeah.
We've done 3 JCT meetings now, and I'm telling you, I'm noticing a difference. Quiet, stone-faced people looking at me. I mean, like used to, you'd be like, "All right, come on, get hyped, get pumped," and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
everybody's quiet at first
Yeah.
until they know the
Yes.
expectation,
Yeah.
and I like trying to get them hyped. And let me tell you what I've noticed the most. Now, this is totally not science. This is just me observing. Is the guys have stayed the same, which is medium quiet, not really
Yeah.
loud, not really quiet.
Yeah.
The girls have gone stone quiet.
Wow.
3 weeks in a row. Have
Wow.
y'all do you think it's this right here?
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Not knowing how to respond, not knowing how to be, like you were talking about, whoa, you
Yep.
leave, you remember those JCT meetings? It
Oh,
wasn't
yeah,
that long
they were
ago for you
awesome.
guys, and
Yeah.
y'all were hype,
They
and
were
y'all,
awesome.
whoa.
Yes.
And it's not they don't laugh at the jokes, they do. It's just not the same responsiveness.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I wonder if you're just looking at this all the time, you're not used to responding anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, you might see something funny on TikTok, but you're not going to laugh out loud.
See, I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, like, I definitely do.
But I wonder if the new generation doesn't.
Yeah, they just see the same
Oh.
thing over and over and over. And
Yeah.
they're just, like, killing
Numb.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're numb.
Yep.
For
Interesting.
sure.
Yes.
And, like, I've heard, like, kids, like, in my activities being like, I wish I had my phone right now. And
Really?
they're just like-
Why?
and I was
They've
like,
actually said that at camp.
at
Wow.
camp.
At camp.
Yeah, and I've like seen kids
Ugh.
like act like they had a phone in their hands
That's
instead of like talking to
crazy.
somebody.
Crazy.
Really?
It's some crazy stuff.
Whoa.
And I just couldn't imagine
That's
doing that when
crazy.
I was little. Like I didn't even like want to have a phone or never. I was like a camper or a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about excuses and distractions, would this be like number one?
Oh,
100%.
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yes.
number one distraction.
So what do we do? What do we do with that? What are? I mean, you're closer to their age. I'm an old guy, right? I'm 40. That's old. Yeah. So, like you guys are cool. I'm not cool. I used to be cool.
Yeah.
But I've been cool in 20 years, like
All
y'all are.
right.
So, like, what do you do? Like, how do you combat that if you're 15, 16 and you've got habits, right? How do you combat that? Like, what? Because I mean, y'all have struggled with it. Maybe you haven't been raised with it in your head. I mean, I feel like it's crazy because y'all are 4 or 5 years away from the campers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but it's crazy how the world can change in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
right. Yeah.
So I don't know if y'all were quite raised with it full on in your hand, but they are now.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
So
sure
what do they?
are.
What do they do? How do you've dealt with a little?
Go
What are-
outside. Like while you're
Come
at home. 'Cause
on.
I feel like some kids don't leave the house. They go to
I
school and they
agree.
come back home and they sit on the couch and play video games.
Agree.
Yeah.
And like
Wow.
I just feel like that's what they do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cause like as a kid, I rode my bike around no shoes, just some
Agreed.
shorts on, and
Yeah.
like would go across town to go get Chicken Express.
It doesn't surprise me that you wore no shoes.
Yeah, I mean I didn't
Magnolia.
care. I didn't care. I was a little kid. It
No,
was
I
no
love that
shoes
so
anywhere.
good.
And like we would go outside and do stuff, and I feel like they just don't do that anymore.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like I would be outside, like in the yard playing. Like I didn't have a phone. The only reason I got a phone was in 5th grade because we moved
Yeah.
to a different school and it was much bigger than my other one, and we had car lines and everything. But even then, it was just to like text my mom if I needed her.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
And I really didn't get social media until like right before my junior year of high school, which I'm
Wow.
actually super thankful for
yeah.
because I feel like everyone is so like, oh my gosh, like look at this post. Like, should I post this there or say this to them or comment this? And I'm like, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's really not. And I'm thankful that my parents were also always like, the weather's nice, like go outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I would go play with my dogs in the yard. I would
Right.
like like get the clay and like
Yeah.
mold stuff. Like I would just be outside in nature.
Yes.
Yeah, but me and my friends, we would literally just like go to each other's houses and pick everybody up, and we would just
Yeah.
ride bikes around town. Like that's just what we did during like the summer.
Magnolia
or-
gang.
Yeah, literally,
Yeah.
just mobbing on bikes.
I love to hear that, Riley, because that's literally how I grew up.
Yeah.
And I was in the
Yeah.
big city. You were obviously in the boondocks or
Yeah,
wherever you were.
pretty
but,
much, basically.
But I love that some people are still having that kind of a childhood.
Yes.
Because I
Yeah.
think it's everything.
Yeah,
I read a
Yes.
book just the other day, just finished it, called The Anxious Generation.
Yeah.
yes,
And he talks about exactly what y'all are saying. So y'all are validating this entire book that I've
Yes.
read, right?
yeah,
And it was a child counselor who told me to read it. One of our alumni, she's the GOAT. She told me, you got to read this. And literally, you know what his solution was?
What?
To play outside.
yeah.
Wow.
I feel like
Yeah,
it's
it's
just a
awesome.
Look at you
solution to
guys.
hop off your
Yes.
phone, go outside,
Yeah.
touch grass.
Touch
Agreed,
grass.
Absolutely. Yes.
That'll keep you from being allergic to it. You know, for you, I'm impressed that you were like 17, social media, you played outside. What about you? Was that your experience?
I feel like that was until like once probably 8th grade hit. My friends and I were like, oh, we're too cool to like ride our bikes around our neighborhood.
Okay.
And that was when I feel like we really started to pay a lot of attention to like social media and
Yeah.
like just different things within that. And like we were always on whatever social media together, like talking about it. And that kind of is what consumed us after that.
Did you notice it like bothering you? Was it something that you consciously were like, okay, whoa, I got to chill out here?
A little bit. I would kind of what we were talking about earlier. I'd like come back from camp and I like wouldn't have had my phone for a week, and I loved that. And I feel like I wouldn't really be on my phone as much for the next like few weeks or maybe for the next month. And then all of a sudden I'd pick it back up and be on my phone all the time again.
Yeah,
Which is kind of, I didn't really like that, but it just is kind of naturally happened, I guess.
yeah. I feel like a social media addiction is very, very real.
Yeah.
And like I feel like it's so bad now.
Yes.
Like kids, they get stuck on social media and they don't want to get off. Like that's all
Yep.
they do. That's what
Yeah.
they spend their most time on. Like their
Mhm.
screen time will be like 12 hours a day, and there's like 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like most of it's like Snapchat, Instagram,
Yep.
just scrolling
Yes.
or
Obviously,
whatever.
we're at camp right now.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, how do I look at my screen time? What are we
Go to
looking
your
at here?
settings.
Yeah, in settings.
Let's
it-
all check our screen
think-
time.
yeah.
Right
Let's
now.
all
Is that
check it right now.
Daily average for this guy, 4 hours and 27 minutes.
3 hours, 17
3 hours and
minutes.
15 minutes.
Obviously, this is going to be like y'all's top. This is the time for y'all to do this because you're at camp. So this is
Yeah.
going to be, y'all are going to be rock stars on this right now.
Mine's 2 hours and 11 minutes.
Okay,
Wow,
bitch.
okay.
Look at holier than thou over here. That doesn't surprise
No.
me. If we had to guess who it was that was going to win, it was going to be you.
Oh, for
For
sure.
sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Now, I will say to defend myself, for me, does it tell you what I'm doing?
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
Oh.
Like, how do I
Oh, wait. I don't know how to
see
do
all
see
app
all
and
app.
website.
see? Whoa, y'all, wait, slow it down. Pretend like I'm 7.
It's like
Okay, what?
right under.
Okay, wait. I think that's like the most.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is. I am on social media an hour a day.
Mm-hmm.
Productive 33. Utilities. I don't know what that is. 8 minutes I spent on utilities. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me because I'm running the BR merch Instagram right now. So I'm not that much into social media, but. Okay, that's so good. But man, I love. Can we go back to you, Kendall?
Yeah.
You said your parents didn't let you get it till your junior
Yes.
year, and I love that. What it sounds like is you're not mad about that.
Originally, I was like, oh, all my friends are on Snapchat and Instagram and
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Or like when I was in middle school, it was like Musically. And I was
Oh,
like, oh,
Musical.ly.
Wow. Yeah.
That's
and I was
old.
like, man,
What's
I was
wait,
like,
wait. What's Musically?
it's
Sorry,
like,
I
it's
old
like the
missed
free
that.
TikTok.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
old TikTok.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
old TikTok, yeah.
Okay.
But
Musically.
now, I don't know. I'm
Sounds like
so-
something Sydney Manuel would be into.
Probably. But I don't know. Looking back, I am super thankful because I don't know. I just feel like it's not my whole life. Like
Yeah.
some people, their whole entire like personality is like their Instagram and their Snapchat and like
Yeah.
how they look to other people and like what they can
Yes.
post about their day. And like it's crazy also now in college, like people posting like literally the best things that are happening to them.
Yeah.
And like my
Yeah.
closest friends, I can be like, that is not like I know what y'all are going through right now, and
Right.
it's
Yeah.
not what you just posted on Instagram.
Yes.
Right.
And so, yeah, originally I was like, oh man, like I can't do what everyone else is doing, but now I'm so thankful that I was not doing what everyone else was doing because I'm not like
Yes.
so like consumed by it.
And I just
That's
feel like it's
good.
crazy. There's an entire career out of being an influencer.
I
on
agree.
social
That's
media.
crazy.
It's so
Like
crazy.
that can be your job. Is just to influence people on social media. And now, like so many kids, they want to be influencers, so they
Yeah.
stay on social media
Yep.
even more because they want to make
Yes.
a career out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Mhm.
crazy. It's like
Yeah.
people just want to be like everybody else, and now everybody wants to
Yep.
be on social media and make money doing it.
Yep.
And I think
Yeah.
it's great if you can do that.
Yeah.
But I think just like professional athletes, I think that bubble is going to pop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you got all these people that they only want to be one thing.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And so nobody wants to be a plumber. No one wants to be an
Yeah.
electrician. And those
Right.
jobs you can make the most money in right now
Agreed.
because no one's in them.
Exactly.
But we don't understand economics. We don't understand supply and demand.
Right.
And so if everybody's wanting to be a YouTube star, you can only have so many YouTube
Yeah.
stars.
You can only have so
Yeah.
many people that are
exactly.
popular at one time.
Yeah.
And
True.
so, if you don't like to work in other ways, we're not
Mhm.
following opportunity. We are
Yeah.
following fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And opportunity is where you're going to make it in life.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
So, anyway, sorry. I digress. I could talk economics the whole time. We better not do that. That's not what we're talking about here. It's so good. But I like that you said that, Kendall, because I know it can be very resentful. There's probably people that are going to be listening, and they're going to be thinking, my parents won't let me do that. My parents won't let me do that. And I hear that. That's that freedom tension, right? If I want to be on my own. And I understand that every family's a little different, right?
Yep.
Some are a
Yeah.
little more, my wife sometimes is like, you're a little too much letting them do whatever they want, and I'm like, sorry, maybe I'm in one ditch or the other, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But, finding that, I love that you were grateful, right?
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
you were grateful. All right, what have y'all learned to read? You're talking about reading the Bible. What have you learned to read? What is something, like I always love Proverbs. I always say
Yeah.
Proverbs is
is
a
good.
great one.
Corinthians
Proverbs are
is
day.
good.
Corinthians,
Corinthians is good.
Yes.
Lots of good stuff. in
that's your
Corinthians.
go-to?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I just started reading James and it's been awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
James
James
is
is good.
where it's at.
Yes.
All right,
That's
one of my best
awesome.
friends. That was his book. He always was James.
I was also gonna say James. Yeah.
Yeah. James is fire.
Yes.
Anything specific? Anything y'all want to throw out here that you've read that
I
you're
just-
growing in?
I hopped back to like the beginning just the other morning and it was like trials and tribulations and I was
Ooh.
like,
Yep.
it's like that's so like applicable for camp and just
Yeah.
like
Right.
all the things you go through as like a senior counselor and like
Mhm.
dealing with the kids and then just everything basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what does it say? James, you're talking about James chapter 1, count it all joy, my brothers, when you face
Yes.
trials of any
Yep.
kind. And then it says, why do you have to go through that? What does it say? Do you remember what it says? It says that you have to go through this because it creates what in you? Remember?
Endurance.
Yeah.
Endurance.
Mhm.
There you
Right.
come on, cross country girl, right? Endurance. Some versions say perseverance, so that you can be. Do you remember what it says? So that you can be mature and complete, lacking nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
right.
That's so good.
Until we go through trials, we can't mature.
Right.
Yep.
That's
right?
right.
Right.
Yeah.
So good. So I just read the Bible and don't get anything out of it. And it's like, what?
You're
I
not.
don't think you're
Right.
reading.
No, I
Yeah.
don't think you're
Yeah,
reading
no,
it then.
You, like unless you're like fully comprehending it.
Yeah.
Like if you're not fully comprehending it, you're not gonna get anything.
Yeah,
out
if you're
of
just
it.
reading
Yeah.
to read, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like I
Yeah.
definitely talk to my kids about that. Like on Thursday nights, I'm like, I don't want you to just read the Bible to read it. Like I want
Yep.
you to be able to comprehend what you're reading and like actually get something out of it. Or
That's
it's not
good.
gonna do anything for you. You're just gonna be reading words on a page.
It's
Mhm.
good.
Yeah.
That's good. What
really
else?
good.
What y'all's go to? All right, you're reading James. That's
Mm-hmm.
good. Which we're gonna talk about James chapter. We're gonna talk about that very passage in one of our church services, maybe both. So coming up in
let's
2
go.
weeks, so be ready.
Awesome.
I'm gonna give you a little insight. The thorn in my flesh. That's what we're gonna be talking about.
Oh.
It's gonna be good. I don't like it, but I'm gonna talk about it. All right, what's a go to for you? My thorn in my flesh is Sydney Manuel, but that's
Since starting on January 1st, I started doing the Bible recap. So I'm doing the plan through the Bible app. And so it's been kind of all over the place, what
Yeah.
we're reading. I think we were reading First Kings. That was what I read this morning. And I'm doing
you
that
would
with
be
my
the one
mom.
that goes Old Testament. You would be Broadfish. You're the one.
Yes, that's just what I'm doing right now. So, but
Okay.
I've been doing that throughout the year. It's you start on January 1st and then it goes all the way through December 31st and goes
Okay.
through the whole Bible again. And
Okay.
I'm doing the plan on the Bible app like we were talking about.
Yeah. How many times have you read it through?
This will be my second time.
Let's go.
Good girl.
Second time. So, second time through, did you find things that you were like, whoa, I don't remember this?
Yes. Absolutely.
So I've read it through several times, the Bible, and it doesn't matter how many times I read it through, I'm still finding things
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize.
Right.
I mean, you remember when Barton talked the other day about Samson?
Yes.
Dude was saying things about the story
And I
that
was
I
like,
forgot.
Yeah.
I was
That
like,
was so awesome.
oh.
Yes.
And I used to tell that at night to the campers,
Yeah,
right? I've
I
read
remember
that.
hearing it.
I've
at
read
night.
Samson so many times.
Yeah.
But he was bringing out things that I was like, I don't even remember that part.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so cool. The Bible's deep.
Yeah.
It is.
Absolutely.
The Bible is deep. You never get to the deep end of the Bible. It just gets deeper.
Mhm.
So that's so cool. All right, what else? How would you encourage? Maybe as we start bringing this thing to a close, how would you encourage? Who we want to speak to today as we wrap this up are our graduates.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
or you know, maybe not even graduates, just people. I just left camp.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm excited. Okay, and I don't feel perfect.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't feel worthy. Or you talked about reading the Bible every day.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I missed a day. You know, it's like, okay, whoa, we're missing the point, right? Y'all
Yeah.
speak to some of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're not perfect. Like, we're going to
Yeah.
mess up. It
Yeah.
happens. We're humans that we mess up. And none of us are really worthy. Just God
Yeah.
gives us, like, He moves through us. It's
Yep.
not us doing anything. It's Him. And I just feel like a lot of people, they just don't realize that, like, you're going to mess up,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
so what? Like, put it in
Yep.
the past. Keep
Yes.
going forward. Keep
Yep.
moving forward.
That's
Don't let
good.
Yep.
you messing up one time be the reason that you stop moving forward.
Yep.
That's good.
I feel like a lot of people just need to understand that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like people, like, once they mess up, they, like, dwell on it
Yes.
and then make that, like, a whole entire thing.
Mhm.
when it
it's
does
like,
not have to be at
It
all.
doesn't
Yeah.
have to be at all, and you can, like, move on and, like,
Yeah.
move forward,
Yes.
Right.
which that's,
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Just like you can try so hard, but like at the end of the day, we are human and like
Mhm.
we aren't perfect, and you kind of just have to like accept that and realize that, but still try your hardest to
Yeah.
be like seeking out God and reading your Bible and doing things like that. Yeah,
Because I remember whenever I started like trying to read the Bible every day, I
Mhm.
missed a few days, but I didn't
absolutely.
I didn't like beat myself down. I wasn't like, oh,
Yeah.
I missed today. Like, what am I doing? I was just like,
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm.
I just gotta make sure that I do it tomorrow.
Exactly.
Like, make sure that I do it tomorrow.
When you don't want to make it a religion,
Right,
it's a
right. It's a
relationship. with
relationship.
That's right.
Jesus, right?
Like-
And so, I mean, you're not like, I'm going to call my best friend every single day at
Yeah.
9 a.m. to start my day.
Right.
Oh, I missed a day. We're not friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Like,
You
he's
need-
not just gonna give up on you.
No.
No.
I mean, I may read my Bible 3 or 4 days a week. It just depends.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's gonna depend. You know, hey, sorry, Lord, been busy. I'm gonna do better. Hey, just wanted to talk. You know, it's a
Mhm.
relationship.
Yeah.
And we've got to move from religion. And when you
Yeah.
try and make it a
Yes.
religion, I think that's why you run out of gas, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's got to go to relationship.
That's good.
So
And I just found myself like I really wanted to make sure that I was reading the Bible like when I needed it, because I don't
Yep.
always
Yes.
like need like encouragement. Like sometimes I'm full
Right.
of joy and happiness.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I need to
But you-
pour out.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But it's those times whenever you need poured into is when like you need to like
That's right.
really dive into
Yeah.
your word and start praying and listening to worship music and just like
Yeah.
the things.
But I think
That's
that's a great
right.
point. Why are we growing in the Lord, right? Obviously, because we have a relationship with Him.
Right.
But also, Jesus talked about He called the disciples, He poured into them, and then
Yeah.
He's like, now go out,
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so I know that you guys are being poured into, but
Mhm.
you're
Yes.
also pouring out so
Yes.
much this summer. And so, we're not just having our relationship with the Lord and telling no one,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
It's to
Yeah.
where we talked about being a light. So for our graduates, that's one thing.
Yes.
Our message, if you're listening to this, is to be a
Mhm.
light.
Yeah.
That's
You
right.
know, and the first time that you stand up for the Lord and encourage other people, it can be intimidating. It can be scary.
Yes.
But I want to encourage you just to step up and be a light.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else y'all got for our campers as they're leaving camp?
I don't think so.
All right. It's good stuff. Man, I
Yeah.
appreciate you guys being on. And this was fun. Did y'all have a good time
Yeah,
doing this?
absolutely.
Super
Awesome.
fun.
All right, the
Loved
Brook Hill
it.
Podcast, Life, Legacy, and Leadership with 3 of our senior counselors.
Let's go.
See y'all. Thanks.